Joseph Stalin did not enter this world as the iron-fisted ruler history remembers. Born in 1878 in Gori, Georgia, he was a sickly child, living in a tiny house with a violent, alcoholic father and a mother who dreamed he might one day become a priest. Life was harsh, bruised by poverty and beatings, and it carved something cold into young Ioseb Jugashvili's soul. As a teenager, he discovered radical literature. Words like revolution and justice sparked a fire inside him. But unlike other dreamers, Stalin didn't just want change, he wanted control. He joined the underground Marxist circles, adopting the name Stalin, the man of steel. While others debated ideas, Stalin was out robbing banks, planning kidnappings, and eliminating enemies in the shadows. He became the Bolsheviks' silent blade, the man willing to get his hands dirty when Lenin needed funds or someone silenced. When the Russian Revolution exploded in 1917, Stalin wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but he was always watching, always scheming. The charismatic Trotsky seemed destined to lead. The brilliant Bukharin had the people's admiration. But Stalin played a longer game. He quietly placed allies in key positions, whispered doubts about his rivals, and rewrote loyalty behind closed doors. By the end of the 1920s, Stalin had outmaneuvered them all. Through calculated betrayals and quiet threats, he became the supreme leader of the Soviet Union. But his rise was only the beginning. The true terror was still waiting to be unleashed. With his grip on power secure, Stalin turned his gaze to the entire nation. He didn't just want obedience, he wanted a terrified silence that ran deeper than blood. In the mid-1930s, he launched what would become known as the Great Terror. It started quietly, whispers in corridors, mysterious disappearances. But soon it roared across the Soviet Union like a plague. Neighbors vanished in the night, dragged away by black-suited agents. Friends stopped greeting each other in the streets, children learned to avoid eye contact. Between 1936 and 1938, millions were accused of crimes they didn't commit. Enemies of the people, spies, saboteurs. Confessions were extracted through torture so cruel it broke even the strongest minds. Public show trials paraded broken men and women forced to admit to impossible plots while the crowd watched, too afraid to breathe. No one was safe, not high-ranking generals, not celebrated scientists, not loyal party members who had fought beside Stalin himself. A single careless joke, a misunderstood phrase, or a jealous neighbor's lie could lead to a midnight knock on the door. The message was clear: loyalty didn't matter, only fear did. And under Stalin, fear was as thick as the winter fog, seeping into every home, every conversation, every heartbeat. The terror didn't stop with whispers and secret arrests. It evolved into a systematic cleansing known as the Great Purge. Lists of names were drawn up in secret, and once your name appeared, your fate was sealed. No trial, no second chance. Between 1936 and 1938, Stalin unleashed his full wrath on the Communist Party itself. Those who once shared victories with him, who toasted to revolution's success, now found themselves branded as traitors. Through forced confessions and sham trials, they were erased, executed, or sent to brutal labor camps. But Stalin's paranoia had no limits. It stretched beyond party walls into villages and cities, touching farmers, teachers, artists, anyone suspected of disloyalty. A stray comment, a rumor, or even a dream reported by a child could mean death. Entire communities were hollowed out, history was rewritten, photographs were altered to remove traitors, and old friendships turned into dangerous liabilities. The purge wasn't just about eliminating enemies, it was about breaking the soul of an entire nation. It transformed the USSR into a place where survival meant complete submission, where trust was a dangerous illusion, and where even thinking differently became a silent death sentence. While Stalin purged minds and souls in the cities, he built a hidden empire far from the public eye, the gulags. A web of brutal labor camps stretched across the icy spine of Siberia and into the forgotten corners of the Soviet wilderness. These were not just prisons, they were graveyards for the living. Millions were sent to these camps. Poets who once wrote of revolution, farmers who missed production quotas, soldiers accused of imaginary betrayals. Many were loyal communists who believed in Stalin's vision, until the Iron Fist came for them too. In these frozen hells, prisoners toiled from dawn to dusk, building roads, digging canals, mining and chopping wood with bare hands. Food was scarce, disease rampant, and temperatures plunged to lethal lows. Death was an everyday companion, sometimes welcomed as an escape. For Stalin, the gulags served a double purpose: punishment for dissent and a machine for cheap labor to fuel rapid industrialization. But even more importantly, they acted as a silent threat hanging over every Soviet citizen's head. Whisper a wrong word, laugh at the wrong joke, trust the wrong person, and you might vanish into the snow. The gulags weren't just physical prisons, they were psychological weapons that kept an entire nation kneeling. Spying wasn't just a tool for state security, it became a way of life. Parents feared their children, friends feared each other, and lovers whispered through walls. The NKVD, Stalin's ruthless secret police, built vast networks of informants. Children were taught to report on their parents if they heard anti-Soviet talk. In factories, schools, apartment blocks, eyes and ears were everywhere. A single accusation, a careless laugh, even a misunderstood sigh could mean torture, imprisonment, or death. Some people informed simply to survive. Others did it to gain small favors or to settle old grudges. But everyone did it under the same cloud of terror. Beyond the Soviet borders, Stalin's obsession extended globally. His agents infiltrated foreign governments, stole secrets, and hunted exiled enemies. Nowhere felt safe, not Berlin, not London, not even New York. Inside the USSR, truth became poison. People learned to perform loyalty like actors on a stage, smiling in public, empty at home. Trust died, replaced by a cold vigilance that bound society tighter than any chain. Stalin's hunger didn't stop at obedience or even fear. He wanted worship. Through relentless propaganda, he turned himself into a myth. Every classroom, every newspaper, every song echoed his name. Statues rose in cities, paintings depicted him as a father, a warrior, a savior. Children were taught that Stalin was the sun itself, the source of all life and glory. Books were rewritten, old revolutionaries erased from history, and victories reattributed to him alone. Artists and writers were forced to glorify the regime. Independent thought became treason, religion a dangerous relic. Priests disappeared, churches were demolished or converted into warehouses of the state. Even language itself was twisted. Phrases like enemy of the people and sabotage became weapons, used to erase both people and ideas. Daily life was tightly scripted. Farmers couldn't decide what to plant. Workers couldn't choose where to labor. Families couldn't speak openly even at dinner. The regime dictated every breath, every dream. Through it all, Stalin maintained the illusion of a strong, united paradise. Marches, parades, and posters painted a bright future. By the early 1950s, the Man of Steel had grown old and brittle. Stalin, once a master puppeteer, became trapped in a web of his own paranoia. He suspected poison in every cup, betrayal in every handshake. He even accused his own doctors of plotting to kill him, the ultimate sign that he trusted no one, not even those who kept him alive. His inner circle, once terrified loyalists, began to whisper in the dark. They watched as Stalin's health declined and his rage grew more unpredictable. At any moment, a nod from him could mean exile, torture, or death. Then, on March 5, 1953, it all stopped. A sudden stroke ended his reign, leaving his guards and ministers paralyzed with fear and confusion. The man who had dominated millions, whose name silenced entire cities, died alone and powerless. The Soviet Union was stunned. Some wept, unsure whether it was from grief or pure terror. Others secretly celebrated, their tears drying quickly in the quiet of their rooms. In the days that followed, Stalin's successors scrambled to distance themselves from his monstrous legacy. Nikita Khrushchev, in a shocking move, revealed Stalin's crimes in a secret speech to party leaders. Statues crumbled, cities were renamed, history books were rewritten again, this time to condemn the man they once worshipped. But no speech or fallen statue could erase the fear that had seeped into the nation's bones. The trauma would echo for generations, carried silently by those who had survived his brutal theater. Even in death, Stalin's shadow stretched long and cold. The children who had betrayed their parents, the neighbors who had watched each other disappear. They carried invisible scars, heavy as chains. The silence he cultivated did not vanish overnight. It settled into the heart of society, passed down like a dark inheritance. A quiet nod instead of a question, a cautious glance before a comment, habits formed under terror persisted long after the man himself was gone. Today, his ghost lingers in statues left standing, in the cautious words of elders, in the broken family lines. His story isn't just a chapter in a dusty history book. It is a living warning about power, fear, and the fragile nature of freedom. Stalin built an empire not on trust, but on trembling hands and hushed voices. An empire that looked unbreakable on the outside, but was hollowed out from within. His myth promised strength, but delivered only silence and ash. As we look back, we must ask, can fear ever truly build a lasting empire? Or does it only create kingdoms of ghosts, doomed to crumble beneath the weight of their own lies? So what do you think? Could a man like Stalin ever rise again? Or did the world learn its lesson from his chilling experiment in absolute control? Tell us below which part of his story shocked you the most. And if you want more untold tales from the shadows of history, hit subscribe. Next up, the Forgotten Kings, who shaped ancient Africa. Coming soon.